By now, you've probably heard about NotebookLM. But what is it? It's often defined as being a tool for understanding. Put another way, NotebookLM helps you learn complex topics faster by letting you upload all the resources you want to study. From there, it can help explain the material, break things down, and teach you in multiple ways. You can also create videos, podcasts, infographics, mind maps, and other really cool stuff. The best part is it's very easy to use. So let's go through a quick case study, and in the next few minutes, you'll know about 85% of what you'll actually need to start using NotebookLM effectively. Let's say you want to learn how to start your own business, but you have no idea where to even begin. So instead of searching the web and watching a bunch of videos and reading a ton of articles, we can consolidate all the materials we want to use, then leverage NotebookLM to help us learn. To get started, head over to notebooklm.google and sign in with your Google account. If this is your first time using NotebookLM, you'll get a message stating your data is not used to train the AI without your permission. You can click OK if you wish. On the welcome screen, you'll see some ready-made notebooks, but in our case, we want to create a new one. Go ahead and click on Create New Workbook. You'll then get greeted with this prompt. So the way NotebookLM works is you can add all the sources you want to use as the basis of your learning, and we'll talk about how to do that in a few moments. But for now, let's close out. Before we go too far, in the upper left corner, why don't we give our notebook a name? In this case, let's go with How to Start a Business. Since we're already here, let's take a quick tour of the screen. You'll notice it's divided into 3 sections. The section on the left contains all your sources. The section in the middle is where you can interact with the notebook, similar to using ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. Over here on the right is all the various elements that you can add into your notebook, but more on that later. Okay, so the next step is to add all the sources we want to use for our notebook, and you have a couple ways to do this. One way is to upload all the sources you want to use. The second way is to let NotebookLM do all the research for you, of which we'll do later. For now, let's go and click on the Add Sources button, which will bring us back to the screen we saw a few moments ago. When adding your sources, you have various formats you can use. For example, you can upload files from your PC, add links to relevant sites and YouTube videos, add files from your Google Drive, paste in any text that you see as important, even type in a prompt to have your notebook get some sources for you. Okay, let's start to build our notebook. You can make the case that most people will already have their sources, either ones that they were given beforehand or ones they've looked up before creating the notebook. For our case study, prior to recording this video, I did some searching about how to start a business, and I downloaded a bunch of PDF files, copied some site links, and looked up some YouTube videos. To replicate this, you can do a search on your own topic followed by PDF and download the ones you want. And you can also copy a bunch of links and put them in a text file. Quick tip for you, if you hold down your Control key and click on a site address, it'll open up in a new tab. To copy the web address, you can either press Control L or F6. Once that's complete, click on the Add Sources button and upload your sources accordingly. In our case, we can load up the PDFs first, and while they're loading, click on the Add Source button again and paste in our sites and YouTube videos. Quick tip, some of the sites you add may not be recognized for various reasons. If so, the site will appear in red and you can remove it if you wish. Let's move on and talk about this prompt box. What you can do is type in a prompt about your topic, and NotebookLM will go out and add in what it views as credible sources. Let's click in the prompt box, and for our case study, we can type in How to Start a Business. Notice we can get sources from the web or from a drive. We can also choose to do more in-depth research, but for today, let's stay with fast research and submit it. Give things a moment. You can see the additional sources being added over here. Once that's complete, we can import them into our list of sources. Moving on. If you want to see more details about a particular source, you can click on it. If you decide a particular source isn't relevant, you can uncheck the box. Shifting our focus to this middle section, it's important to mention that this summary pulls information from all of your sources. All right, we've completed adding all the sources we want to use. The next step is to start chatting with our notebook. Chatting with your notebook is really nothing more than typing in what you need or what you want to learn. For example, because we want to start a business, let's ask it something like this. Create a beginner-friendly overview of what it takes to start a business and make sure the explanation is simple and covers the most important things to do first. Let's submit this and give it time to respond. Okay, here is our response, and there are a few things to talk about. First, one of the cool things with Notebook is it will only use your sources to create its responses. The second is these little endnote, footnote looking thingies. You can click on a number and it will take you to the source if you want to get more details or double check the information. The next important step is this Save to Note option. If you like a response and you want to refer to it later, make sure you click on the Save to Note button. If you don't, the response won't be saved, and the next time you open the notebook, it won't be there. The reason behind this is the AI is not being trained on our conversations. Next, your responses tend to be pretty thorough, possibly overwhelming. You can control the type of response you get by going up here and clicking on the configure icon. In the dialog box, you can control the type of responses you get. For example, if you're interested in a more educational response, click on Learning Guide. Or if you click on the Custom button, you can type in specific instructions about the response you prefer. Say, for example, speak in a more technical way, or make your responses so that a young child can understand. You can also control the response length. For example, if you're a person who prefers a lot of details, long would be a good choice. By contrast, if you're more direct and to the point, short would be a good option. From this point, it's really just a matter of typing in more prompts that guide your learning. For example, let's say you want to know the difference between a corporation, LLC, and sole proprietorship, along with what type of legal steps does it take to set one up. Okay, by now you have a good idea of how to chat with NotebookLM. Let's move on and talk about all the really cool stuff you can do with this studio section. Let's take a look at all of them. But before we start, notice how some of the options have a pencil icon. If you click on the pencil icon, you'll get a customization window where you can refine your results. Anyhow, starting with the audio overview, this option lets you create a podcast based off all your sources. Let's click on the pencil icon so you can get a feel for what you can do. Notice you can change the format from the default deep dive into a brief summary, a critical style, or debate format. You can also change the duration, language, and type in a prompt with special instructions. For today, let's just keep the defaults and generate the podcast. So it'll take a while. Okay, our podcast is finished. Now, we could listen to it, but the cool part is we can also converse with it. If we play the podcast in interactive mode, you'll see a join button, and you can do something like this.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tearing through the blueprints of what it takes to build a business. If you've ever had that flash of inspiration, or maybe you're already prepping a pitch deck, this deep dive is your masterclass.
That's right. Our mission today is to give you the most efficient shortcut to launching a successful venture. We've synthesized guidance from the SBA, some really practical how-to manuals, and the essential, hard-won insights from...
Oh, hey there. How can we help?
Could you tell me what the SBA is, please?
You bet. That is a fantastic question, and we should have started there.
Absolutely. The SBA is the U.S. Small Business Administration.
It's an official website of the U.S. government dedicated to small businesses.
Think of it as the federal agency focused entirely on helping you start, grow, and manage your small business.
Okay, you gotta admit, that's pretty cool. Now let's move on to the video overview. The video overview will create a basic video presentation about your topic with an audio track. Again, clicking on the pencil icon, you can see your options right here. You can create an explainer or a brief video. You have various video styles to choose from, the language, along with an area for a special prompt. Let's go ahead and generate this one. Okay, results are done. Let's go ahead and play that.
You ever have one of those light bulb moments? A brilliant business idea, only to feel completely stuck? Yeah, you are definitely not alone.
I mean, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being totally overwhelmed.
All right, not too bad. Pretty straightforward. Let's move on. Next up, let's take a look at the mind map. Think of a mind map as a diagram with one main topic that has a bunch of branches to show related ideas or details. No options here, so let's generate that. Okay, as we can see, the map starts with an overall high-level concept, and if you click on a node, you can drill down to get further details about each topic. Okay, that's enough to get you pointed in the right direction. Let's move on to reports. If we click the report option, we'll have a few formats to choose from. And honestly, you'll have to go with the one that best fits your needs. For example, because we're studying a new subject, the study guide might be a good choice. Conversely, the briefing doc might be a good choice because it'll create a condensed summary which goes into more details. We can click on the pencil icon to get a feel for the customization options we have. Go ahead and generate that. Once it's done, go ahead and open it. Looking at the report, you notice it gives a very tops-down approach, meaning it begins with a summary, and as we scroll down, the report gets more granular. So clearly, this report takes a very corporate-style approach. And that'll do it for reports. Let's move on. Next up, flashcards. Flashcards are NotebookLM's version of what you might recall from your old grade school days. where you were asked a series of questions and you need to answer the questions as accurately and quickly as you can. Clicking on the pencil icon, let's take a look at some of the options. It appears we can select the number of cards we want to see, the level of difficulty, and of course, our prompt for any special instructions. For example, maybe you want the cards to be about a specific topic. After we generate the flashcards, let's click on them to check them out. Okay, pretty straightforward. Here's the question. Towards the bottom of the card is the answer. If we click on it, you can see the answer and an option to explain it if necessary. That's pretty cool. Let's move on. Moving on to the quiz, you can pretty much guess what this is going to be about. Clicking on the pencil, you can see the options we have. Level of difficulty, number of questions, and of course, our good friend the prompt box. Go ahead and generate the quiz. All right, let's open it up to see what we get. Okay, as you may have figured out, this is pretty direct. Looks like you have a bunch of multiple guess-style questions to go through. You get the point? Nothing too crazy here. Let's move on. Moving on to the infographic. You want to think of an infographic as being an image that teaches you something at a glance. Let's take a moment here and pass along an important tip. Whenever you create an infographic, it's a really good idea to click on the pencil icon and enter a specific prompt explaining what type of graphic you want to create. Because if you don't, NotebookLM will create an infographic using all of your sources, and there's a pretty good chance you'll end up with a very generic, not so great image. Let's click on the pencil, and for today, let's go with a simple prompt like, create an infographic about how to start your own business. Again, we have some options here that are very straightforward. Let's click generate, give things a few moments, click on the results. Not too bad, pretty cool. If we like the image, you can download it by clicking on the icon in the upper right corner. Moving on to the slide deck, and I'll venture a guess you can figure out what this is all about. The slide deck will create a very PowerPoint-esque file. Taking a look at our options, we can either get a detailed deck, which is intended for a more personal approach, or we have the option for a presenter deck, which is geared towards you being the presenter. Well, it stands to reason we're probably not at the presenter stage yet, so we'll stick with the detailed deck. After it's completed, let's take a look at it by clicking the Start button. Wow, that's pretty impressive. First impressions, this is very well constructed, nice appearance, and pretty slick. Okay, last one. Down here you have this Add a Note button, which allows you to create a little mini text document that you can jot down your thoughts, any ideas, insights, etc. The cool thing is you can also add it as a source as well. All right, and there you have it. You've just learned about 85% plus of what you'll ever need to know for NotebookLM. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't be shy about using the like, share, and subscribe button. And now here's another video for you.